And we are off. Looks like we're both starting at Link's house and just getting $5. Looks like we're both going to go up to get Uncle and get our assured sword. With the Uncle assured sword setup, we will see one. Looks like we're going to get a quick kill to set up the tier 1 tree pull. If there's anything we can actually kill, which was since that's a red eye gore, that's not going to happen. Looks like some ropes hanging out with Uncle. And there are the swords. What else have we got in escape hiding behind? Ooh, that's annoying. Glad they got that sword. And $20. JTB is looking to save and quit out, and Solski is continuing on with possibly escape. JTB goes back to Sanctuary to find Big 20. And Solski's heading in to see what nightmares await us inside the Hyrule Castle. Well, JTB's Shantae is being bullied by a thief on their way. Oh, there's more thieves. Thieves, I think, are probably the rudest enemies to put randomly in Randomizer. Now, there are some options to the Randomizer that are enabled and some that are not. There are a lot of things that the Randomizer could do, like shuffle the bots around. And lo, we have Power Gloves in Escape for Solski. A great find as we head into Skull Woods with JTB to find a Big 20. And the Moon Pearl in Skull Woods. Both ways, we're getting some good stuff. See what happens when we continue through the escape sequence as he gets chased around by a terror pin. And a Dead Rock, everybody's favorite enemy. And we're going to head on to the plethora that is Kakariko Village. And we find the dungeon map on the left for Solski. That is the Lost Woods. I got a little ahead of myself there. We're heading down into the Thieves' Hut. And it looks now I've been joined by Phantom Fox. Phantom Fox, how are you doing tonight?
Hello, everyone. I am doing well there. I'm glad to be an emergency sub for this race there. Got in. How's everyone doing?
Pretty excited as we just found the Master Sword in Blind's Hut. And not a whole lot else in the back of the escape sequence for Solski. We're going on through, we got one more chest to check, and $100. Can't complain about that. We're definitely set to go pick up that bottle vendor. So, Phantom, what are you looking to see from tonight's seed?
I am most interested to see what kind of bosses we have in which dungeons there, because a lot of the appeal for me, aside from just the crazy enemy locations in random places, there is seeing fighting bosses outside of their normal arenas there. You can get some very interesting combinations and very interesting setups for bosses that you don't normally have access to.
Alright, so what are you thinking is probably the favorite thing you'd want to see tonight, given these two runners?
In terms of sheer hilarity there, nothing can really beat the one time that there was a Moldorm inside of Mafula's room there, because that ends up being very weird, and Moldorm gets stuck against the right side of the room and can't do anything.
That sounds hilarious. I'm hoping for like a cold stare on Moldorm 2. I think that would be troll. But then again,
yes.
After seeing what I've seen Solski do in some daily races, the hovering, it may give him a clear-cut advantage, as looks like we are in a dark room we are in the dark side of escape with Solski, and we have no idea what we're up against, and neither did he, and took an unfortunate death. As Shantae is clearly the creeper and angered the NPC. And we have a Fisher Price first shield in the back of the tavern.
It looks like JTB has gotten the Tempered Sword from the Chicken Hut as well.
awesome find. And it looks like I saw some boot dashing. I didn't see where that came out of.
Regardless, it looks like JTB has found the Moon Pearl before I was able to join in there, and Solski has the gloves. So that's 2 separate pieces of Dark World access right now. We just need the hammer at the very least to get in there, or a glove upgrade, and then we'll be good.
Be interesting to see where that hides. Now, the Moon Pearl was in the Lost Woods Thieves' Den, as Solski is about to find out after he checks the mushroom spot. It looks like we did have something good on Race Game. I did miss it. Solski is using the eggplant sprite, for those that were asking.
Clearly, someone's had a run-in with the eggplant wizards from Kid Icarus.
Yes, and Sailor Selfie brings up a great point. As this is hard mode, the Tempered Sword is the last sword upgrade we can actually use. Though there will be one more sword upgrade left out in the world somewhere, but it'll just look like a big 20 now. And JTB picks up that big 300 from the Race Game, trying to farm up that Zora money, as when they find those gloves, that will be in Logic.
That's correct there. Right now, with the equipment that we currently have there, we could get into Eastern Palace there. We can't get into Desert right now, or Tower of Hera. Still need the lamp for that to be in Logic, as well as the mirror. Those are still out there somewhere. We do not know where they are, but we still have plenty of chests left to check.
And there's our other glove in the Swamp Dam. So now we have power, we have Titan's Mitts out there, so Dark World access is going to be opening up really early, which means the world is our oyster, to an extent.
That is correct there. That does open up a lot of halfway dips into some of the dungeons there. Can't complete them all just yet, depending on what bosses lie at the end of them. Oh, there's the boots at the bottom of the lake.
Well, we're going to start going fast. Solski's going to be really happy when he starts on these South Shore checks, as we look at what the Randomizer brought onto us. More thieves. Lots of thieves. And instead of a Mildy Moldorm Cave, we have Shadow Cave.
Not the worst enemy in the world there, but their spawn points are hidden there. So if you find an empty enemy room to clear out there, there's going to be shadows in there somewhere.
Yeah, we'll see the little sparkles as they get ready to run across the room. As we go through Moldorm Cave, we have a heart piece. Another heart piece. 5 rupees. 50 rupees. And the ice rod. That's going to be really great if Turtle Rock ends up being required. I have not seen a map check from either of our runners as of yet. Oh, it looks like I did miss that. Looks like crystals in Eastern and Desert, and the green pendant in the Tower of Hera. Fire Rod? It's really hard to... It's all, like, red instead of blue. So it's Fire Rod, which helps us with Skullwoods when we get to the Dark World, whenever we decide to go, with all the access that we have.
And having a fire source in general is never a bad thing to have there. So we do have access to lighting torches, which will help us out in Desert Palace and any other places that require lighting torches.
Yes, you got it. And to answer the question in chat, no, on this seed, the damage of the enemies has not been randomized. This is all on standard damage, standard HPs, it's Chaos Boss Shuffle and Chaos enemy spawns all over the world and in our dungeons as that red hard hat beetle chases down JTB as they've set up a water walking.
That's always a fun glitch to see. You have to make sure you don't get hit on, though, otherwise bad things happen. And also with the Randomizer settings there, we have no pot shuffling either.
Good point. Now, that was a Lionel in the river.
Apparently they know how to swim now.
Alright, and from our hobo under the bridge, we have Blue Mail. Now, that is the last Blue Mail upgrade that is available to our mail upgrade that is available to our runners to actually be used. There is one more out there, but it'll just be a big 20. As this is hard mode.
Hard mode does... Oh.
Now, that's one of the
Lionel in the river.
Yep, now that's one of those safeties of the Randomizer itself. in the Japanese version 1.0, a fake flippers glitch would result in a soft lock upon taking damage. So instead, the game just mercifully kills you.
Now, does that glitch carry over into once you get out into the Hobo Island? Did the Lionel just legitimately one-shot him, or was that just the result of the fake flippers glitch?
Probably both. As they're only on 4 hearts with the blue mail, it'd be forget what their base damage is, but it would be a lot. Lionels are awful. And we see what's in the back. Yep, go ahead.
Yeah. Solski got the Titan's Mid, so he'll be the first person to actually have full Dark World access at the moment.
You got it. And we have not a whole lot in Saucer's closet. And Firebar. And Bubble.
Very confused, Bubble. No walls to climb means he has no idea where to go.
And there's the boots for Solski. He's gotta go fast.
The dashing eggplant. One wonders how he does it with no legs.
He rolls very fast.
Alright, JTB decides to go into Eastern Palace at the moment. Gonna clear out as much as he can there. I believe there are... Is there a lamp requirement in here? For some reason, I remember that there is, but I could be wrong about that.
Absolutely. To get to the vanilla big key chest, you need the lamp to get back to there. And there's our first item out of Eastern Palace. Now, what's fun with the Randomizer is normally we would require the bow to get to the end of this dungeon and kill the boss, protected by the red Igor. It may not be the case this time.
You're correct there. The any room that is enemy locked there may or may not have any item or have an item required enemy in it, just because of Randomizer settings and possibly setting up something that it would be unkillable.
All right, and there is the big key, so it won't be in its vanilla location, and the guard just has to be very rude. Yeah, we're looking into Ice Rod Cave for Solski. And 10 arrows. With the removal of the capacity upgrades from the randomized item pool, we're going to see a lot of those 10 sticks and 3 bombs.
They're not gone completely. They can still be bought from the Light World Ice Palace Island ferry, but you don't see people doing that all that often, to be honest.
And there's a hint tile check from JTB with some cash above the pose. We will not be seeing the graveyard ledge. Big chest contains compass, and it looks like we're going to go do some sequence breaking through the dark rooms. As Solski does his sequence break, past that Lionel as he water walks to the hobo to be disappointed.
Well, with this being hard mode, the mail is not unappreciated, but it's not the progression that we're looking for at the present moment.
Nope, so far we have access to the Dark World on the left side via the Titan's Midst in the portal in the Village of Outcasts, and not a whole lot else.
With that Dark World access there, you can always go to Thieves Town, but you don't know what the boss behind Thieves Town actually is. Most of the other stuff is locked away behind some other things here and there. I can't get into the Swamp House without any mirror. Can't really do much of Palace of Darkness, or you can't finish it without the bow. Even though this is Randomizer, there is that still cutscene statue that you have to shoot.
Absolutely, and we have a very smart use of the fire rod to light up this room so we know what nightmares await us, and it looked like a lot of fun.
Thankfully, the room was not locked, so we could just nope right on out of there.
Well, I picked up...
That's Solski Chicken Bonk Rocks.
Oh, that's a Lionel. You can... The key... me in that room still. It's just not a green Igor.
Oh, looks like Solski picked up flippers. I was watching JTB at the moment there. Looks like the Bonk Rocks actually contain something useful.
And you can't deny that. Most night. That's kind of boring.
It will take quite a little bit of while with no bow there, but we do have tempered sword damage, so hopefully won't take forever.
It looks like we had a Dark World map check. We do have a crystal in Turtle Rock, so we will have to find that ice rod somewhere out in here. It's fun watching this Sword Armos Knights fight. Armos Knights are a really interesting enemy in the things that can damage them. Like, the higher progressed your sword is, the less damage they take. Also, they can be killed with some absurd number of boomerang hits. It looks like and here's Solski up to some hovering shenanigans in Skull Woods.
We really don't want to have to deal with that bubble, and that's a very annoying fire bar placement right there.
And there's the map for JTB, and our first crystal of the match at 15 minutes and 41 seconds. 1 down, 6 to go.
Indeed.
As Solski gets bullied around in Skull Woods for the guaranteed key room. Where do you think JTB is heading next?
Well, he doesn't know that he has Dark World access to him right now, so hopefully he'll be going down to pick up the other pair of gloves from whichever one he did not pick up first. We have the one in Swamp that I believe that he found already. The other one I did not catch where it actually located.
That one was located in the Lost Woods. And there's the flippers for JTB. Lots of thieves. Thieves everywhere.
So honestly, if he manages to get that Dark World access there, I would honestly go towards Thieves Town personally. There's a few items there. It's got little to no requirements on it. It's a pretty safe play that you can take regardless of what you can do.
And what nightmares await you inside as Solski takes an unfortunate death to that rather rude BMO statue. On the right, JTB being disappointed with what he dove into the escape for. And let's see what's in the Skullwood's big chest. If he actually managed to reach it with all those spike traps.
Just a map this time there, but you can luckily get out fairly easily. One of the nice things is that the taking a death in Skullwoods is not nearly as catastrophic as some other places because you can honestly just go back to the entrance, which is at like a room or two away at most, in most cases.
And that's one of the more interesting ones to play, especially in like an entrance shuffler seed. Though it stays pretty much the same on that because of how crazy it is. And now we have JTB with some uncharted territory in the Waterfall of Wishing and finding the bow.
He wishes he had that just a little while ago when he was fighting the Armos Knights. But he can ride this straight in with Zora now as he has the cash for it, I do believe. Yes, he does.
So tell me, what do you think does the King of Scams have for us today as we lag our way through the Zora River?
I'm going to take the safe bet here and say that it's just a bundle of arrows.
Oof. It is the gauntlet of terror out here, as Solski unfortunately takes another death to the nightmare that is Skull Woods.
Namely, Skull Woods on 4 hearts.
So it is. And the King of Scams himself has 20 rupee.
That's an investment, kid.
Take it in, deposit it, and it's gone. It looks like we have Solski heading down to the back of Skull Woods to see what we have in Mothula's room.
It could be either very easy or very hard depending on what the boss is and how it interacts with those moving platforms. Or conveyor belts.
Just all these traps in here just makes for an unfun time for Solski. As JTB heads back to the back of Escape to find not a whole lot. Just to want to give you a friendly reminder while we're treading on and getting ready to see the Mothula spot to give our runners a follow. They're putting themselves out there for you, so this is the least you can do for them is to show them a little support. Actually, Malagord, it seems like that was changed in version 30. I was watching a few of the races and no longer saw the green 20s. Alright, and Solski heading down in Mothula spot to find... that...
is the Landbolus.
which he will make quick work of with his fire rod. Hopefully. It's not the most...
It's easier to fight because they will always usually spawn right near the entrance, and you'll have less room to miss them with long shots.
And that is a quick and easy kill for Solski to find the compass and get his first crystal. And Zelda still having that heart piece, leaving JTB disappointed and ready to move on to the next play.
Looks like he's going to be checking that one chest that he bypassed on the way to what ended up being the Landbolus there. I'm expecting him to go to Thieves Town next to check out what is it, at least those four chests, and check out what the boss is. Maybe do the back half if he's feeling lucky.
Well, you never know. With the Randomizer, we're no longer required to rescue the maiden to get the boss spawn, as Solski takes the death warp, which was easily handed to him, to get out of there after finding not a whole lot. So to answer the questions in chat, yes, this is Randomizer. All the enemies in the overworld are shuffled, and the bosses themselves are shuffled, including the one in Ganon's tower. But the logic will not put you up against a boss that you do not have the required items to kill.
And this is also Chaos Boss Shuffle, which means that all the bosses are not shuffled one for one. We may see duplicates, and we may not see some at all. And
to further clarify, Aghanim and Ganon are still where they belong.
Looks like we got the other pendants on Ice Palace and Misery Mire, in addition to the one on Hera. We had Eastern Palace and Turtle Rock be the red crystals. So this could technically be a fluteless seed if we end up not needing anything from Misery Mire.
That it could be. And Solski starting our checks in the Village of Outcasts, fighting not a whole lot in the Sea House. Heading down to Bombable Hut, which is currently being hugged by a Gibdo. And we have some literacy.
That will put Desert Palace in logic right now. Another dungeon that we can clear, and it is a crystal.
So it'll be an excellent play. I think that'll be what we see from Solski after we get done with Thieves Town. Chess game, 100 rupees. And the Arrow of Destiny.
One thing to note there is that since there is only one single arrow there, that can be considered a unique item by any hints referencing the unique items.
Curiously, we do have one hint tile here in Thieves Town. Going to check our first chest after it gets... And there's our flute. Well, it's no longer fluteless.
That will be a great asset to his mobility, being able to run from place to place without much problem at all, or fly in this case. But it does put Misery Mire into logic, so things can be hidden in those places.
Well, we're not quite in logic yet, as we have not found any medallions to potentially open the door.
Yes, you are correct. We don't know what's in the opening requirements for Misery Mire. We don't know what the opening requirements are for Turtle Rock either. Have not made a trip up there just yet.
Alright, and JTB checked that front chest of the back of Skull Woods and took the Death Warp out and is heading back to face their Mothumulas. As that's just a lot of fun for Solski in that part of Thieves Town. Finds the big key, and he gets to head right back into the Nightmare.
Now, as you mentioned there, the Maiden is not required because Blind is probably not going to be the fight that you fight here. So you can just walk straight into the back of Thieves Town and get whatever boss is there.
However, there are still the chests on the upstairs where you open up the bomb. He's gonna go grab the key and head to the back to see what else we got in the chest. We don't have the hammer yet, so there's potential. In fact, it looks like that big chest is in logic, as he is already holding on to the small key for that room.
And JTB is fighting the shifting land moluses. It's taking not that hard of a time with it there. It is a small arena. They should be easy to hit. The does not cause any shifting spikes, so that is not usually the normal hecticness that this is.
And we have some bombs in Eastern Palace. Thanks, game. Crystal for JTB.
That puts him up to two crystals to 1 at the present moment, having a slight lead over JTB, both in terms of items and in dungeon completions at the present moment.
So Solski still has to go over a lot of what JTB hasn't. JTB has not touched Skullwoods at all, or excuse me, Thieves Town at all. As that Hinox says, "By God, it's Kane! Kane! The Kane of Samaria in Thieves Town!"
That's one of those items that's definitely 100% required in most cases. And it can be hiding in a lot of different places, so it's good to be able to find that this early.
Absolutely it is. We're going to head back down to the main cell to see what item may be left, and then we'll see what kind of craziness the boss is in this Thieves Town.
Note that Solski has not found the bow yet, so his options are a bit limited in terms of where he can go next. Once he does finish Thieves Town there, he would need to Desert Palace or find the bow and then perhaps complete Palace of Darkness. Or Eastern is fully completable at this point, as we know from JTB, as long as you're okay with.
Even so, the chest that was locked behind the dark room wasn't that great, but the boss is. As we try to get through this rather rude room and head to the boss for Solski.
And we have Vanilla Blind in the back of Thieves Town here.
Is this even randomized?
You're starting to wonder, aren't you? Now, with Master Sword there, we can just take pot shots at him from the back of the room as long as we can stay at full health there. You can't take the sort of scripted fight options since the fight starts as soon as you walk in the door instead of getting the ideal position behind him while the maiden transforms.
Well, that was an easy blind fight for Solski as he picks up his second crystal. And to answer the question in chat from Sarah Zelda, there is a chance that, yes, all dungeons could have the vanilla bosses, though the odds are pretty low. I'm not that good at math.
Alright, so JTB will be starting his clear of Thieves Town right now, where Solski is deciding to go and check out what looks to be Hype Cave, if I am to be believed, after he checks out the digging game first.
And don't forget our friend Old Stumpy.
That is correct. That is a quick check on the way here of sort of the dark South Shore clear, so to speak.
And as we head through, Solski does his digging. By vanilla, it's 15. In randomizer, it's anywhere between 1 and 30 digs. And it's getting up there in number.
I am an eggplant, I'm digging a hole.
And it's just a big 20. You can tell that's the prize because it's not flashing.
And it also does the little item found jingle when you dig it up, although we can't hear this on his stream at the present moment.
And let's see what our friend Stumpy has today. Just another $20.
So refresh my memory real quick there. What area did JTP find the bow in again?
That was... The chat may have to help me on that one. Or isn't that in the Skullwoods? Could be wrong.
I don't think it was in Skullwoods there, because both players have cleared it.
Well, here's our hype cave check. Let's see how hype it is so far. Kind of a dud. 5 rupees. Heart piece. Blueberries. 10 arrows. And a heart container. I will give that a 0.5 out of 10. How about you?
It's more 3 out of 10 for me there. The full heart container can be very helpful in hard mode, but yeah, it's nothing terribly interesting.
And yes, thank you, chat. That was Waterfall Fairy for the bow. As JTB picks up his third crystal and goes into the lead.
So it's one of those one-off locations that you don't really think of, you want to route it in when you're doing Zora and all that other stuff there, but it's not one of those big locations that you really are itching to go to right away.
And it looks like we have Solski heading over toward the pyramid. And I imagine they would check catfish afterward. And there's the literacy for JTB on the right.
Looks like JTB is going to be doing his sort of south shore of Dark World clear at the moment as well. Solski is a little bit ahead of him in that regard, but JTB does have the extra boss kill under his belt.
Absolutely, and there's not a whole lot on the pyramid this time as we're heading up to our friend the Angry Fish.
So what's your favorite item to toss in at the Angry Fish here there? Do you go for the bush, the skull, or the sign?
I'm definitely a skull kind of guy. To really make sure he's awake and bonk him on the head with the heaviest item I have available. And to preemptively take out my rage when it undoubtedly has nothing useful.
Often is that way, isn't it?
You run up all this way, and when it's something useful, you feel great, and when it's not, you don't. It's a great pose with the eggplant there, as we get $5.
Did you see my welcome sign? No, it was your friend's skull.
Alright, and it looks like JTB has also decided to take our friend the frog on a massive world tour.
Yep, bringing old Jeremiah along to see the world. He definitely is a good friend of Shantae's at the moment.
Let us hope so. He isn't just being taken all across the world against his will. Maybe he just wants to go home. As we have our flute activation on the left.
With that flute activated there, we will be able to check a little bit of the Mire area. At least get to see that requirement for Misery Mire if you decide to go in there. And check out the Mire Hut if you so desire. Can't check out Checkerboard Cave just yet, but...
Now, Chad brings up an interesting point that I missed. JTB did not go into the deep parts of Thieves Town because they did not have the hammer.
Oh, that's right. The cane was in the attic chest of Thieves Town. There, we'll see how long he puts checking that area off.
Now, imagine, if you will, as we must take a moment to pause for the Hyrulean National Anthem and release our best friend, the Swag Duck. Get your salutes in chat. It puts out an interesting bit of logic with him not going back for the Cane of Samaria. Now we'll say that our friend Vitreous Spot has the hammer, and we have shenanigans. And looks like we found our first bottle somewhere along that line. I missed it to get the fire shield. And our smiths are making today bread.
We've got the counterfeiting dwarves here, making out some money.
And we have simultaneous flutes. Solski heading to, it looks like, to buy some potions. And a Desert Palace play from JTB.
That's only got a couple items here and there, but it is a crystal. We are in the area. Let's knock it out while we're here.
And we've got it all in logic. And it looks like we're going to have simultaneous entrances to Desert Palace. Thank you, Sarah Zelda, with the bottle was in Meyer's shed. And our first chest reveals the small key.
So we'll be able to check those 2 chests on the right side there. Not too big of a problem. Haven't seen what is on top of the torch just yet, unless I missed it.
They did. They went straight to the chest room, and we don't know what that is yet. But since we've already had the boots, we don't have to worry about that requirement. And there's the big key.
$50 at the end of the cannon room. So this should be pretty much a clear from here on out. We've got pretty much all that we want at the present moment.
Absolutely, we just gotta wade our way through the sea of Helmosaurs and what other shenanigans are thrown our way, or whatever that was floating around. Oh, it was a Bari that kind of get messed up. And hint tile says the 10th enemy has the bomb. Now, if we were happen to play Zelda 1, that'd be the perfect time for that hint. But that's one of our joke hints. And is that an early sighting of Bob?
I believe that is an early sighting of Bob. I'm not sure exactly. Oh, because we haven't picked up the item on the torch in here. Bob has escaped Ganon's terror. He's free to run the world. Everyone run in terror.
They may have doomed us all. May have doomed us all. There's a Stealthos Knight making a late entry. And yes, we found the Bloomerang. Now, Phantom, where do you sit on the Boomerang debate?
Whether it's useful or which one is better.
Which one is better, obviously?
I'm a little bit split. 50-50 on them. They both have their own uses.
I had to go with the red Boomerang, mostly because my favorite color is red, and because I use that to carry me in my childhood playthroughs quite heavily.
Nice.
I was very familiar with the stun prize. And we are merely just a room apart as we head back toward the Landmola spot. Beemo's statue guarding the door, no big deal. Let us see what we have in that spot. And the Helmosaur King. Hope you're ready with those bombs. Good game knowledge displayed here, as the mask can be blown up by bombs.
How many bombs does it take, actually?
I want to say it's about 6. I could be wrong, though.
For some reason, I was under the impression that you could damage the mask with the sword, but it would just take a long while, but I don't believe that is actually the case.
Nope, it's either bombs or the hammer, and that's a very nice, very close and good kill from JTB on as one more hug would have sent him back to the entrance. And he's holding the map. We found all items, nothing of use really in desert, but it's another crystal.
Alright, so they both have taken down the Helmosaur King, so that puts JTB up for which will be in the second 3 against Solski in terms of crystal acquisitions.
Alright, so looking at what we have right now, we still do not technically have I guess we do have the logic play for Death Mountain, just not the old man. And without the hook shot or the mirror, we cannot get to Turtle Rock, and here's we got the Tier 1 Agina check. Hoping to maybe find something that'll help us get to another dungeon that we cannot access yet.
If we don't end up finding anything in here, I'm expecting people to start going to Palace of Darkness, because that's pretty much all that you can really go to. That's a crystal right now, unless you want to make a pendant dip into either Ice Palace, or that's pretty much where you can go right now. We don't have the mirror to get into Swamp. We don't have the medallions to get into Misery Mire. So, that's where we need to go.
And it looks like Palace of Darkness is what we have, and we just gotta hope that maybe the hammer is hidden inside.
You'd have to hope that it's somewhere inside there, because we have those annoying little whack-a-moles in there.
Like, actually, now that I think about it, I guess, yeah, the hammer is required for the back. just to get through those whack-a-mole pegs on the way down the dungeon. So we can get to everything except for the Palace of Darkness boss, since these runners are obviously good enough to do dark rooms, though it's not yet logically required as we have not found the lamp, though I'd imagine it's somewhere we just haven't checked.
Alright, looks like Solski's going to the waterfall cave. He's going to find his bow. Be very happy about that.
Absolutely. As JTB gets disappointed with his fire shield from our friend the sick kid. Now as this is hard mode, that is the last shield that they are going to be able to find. The last shield is out there somewhere, but it will not look like a shield. It'll just be another big 20.
Pretty much. Alright, JTB going to be transitioning from there into the Dark World. And I am betting that we're going to be seeing the Palace of Darkness play as I was talking about earlier. Although, yeah, you could make the argument for Ice Palace, but given that he decided to warp here, that's probably not the case.
Yeah, I would think so. It's just a very long walk. Solski gets his disappointing rebate back on his investment. Catfish would be a good call, however, we already found that to be a bloopy.
So we definitely need that hammer. We still missing the ice rod and the hookshot, most noticeably. Everything else, and the mirror. We definitely need
the mirror. And then some medallions, at least one medallion to open up our Misery Mire and Turtle Rock, or mostly our Turtle Rock. And it looks like we did see it was Quake on Misery Mire.
Alright, JTB finds out that the catfish is being cheap today, while Solski is going into Eastern Palace, going to be catching up on that one dungeon that JTB has already completed. So this should get him a little bit caught up there while JTB searches for some of those missing key items at the moment.
And yes, someone did bring up a great point. There's no guarantee we actually need that ice rod, as we may never see a Trinex, or we could see all the Trinex here. We don't know. It's Chaos Bus Shuffler.
It'd give you a lot of peace of mind if we could find it there, but we don't know where it is.
I guess it depends on just how much you like Trinex. And I'm assuming we're going to see JTB head toward, finally see our uncharted ground in the Palace of Darkness.
We've checked most of the one-offs that we can at the present moment, so this is the best play at the moment, in my opinion.
I cannot disagree with you, given the information that we have.
I find it interesting that we haven't found any of the medallions yet so far. Usually you pick up one or two by now, even if they're not really required.
It is interesting, but I'm assuming we should see... Palace of Darkness has to have some kind of progression here, as we see the rather interesting way to get to the Palace of Darkness, making it interesting as if you take any damage, Kiki runs for the hills.
And with big encompassing enemies like those fire bars, you have to be careful, or otherwise you have to take the long route back to those trees again.
Absolutely. Solski seeing the cache above the post hint, so we definitely know we will not be going to Graveyard Ledge. And we have an instant big key, which would have said this is bow locked if we weren't playing Randomizer.
Yep, either the room will open automatically, or you'll just have some easy enemies that is killable, or killable using these standard weapons.
See, another one of our friends, the thieves, Solski gets to have fun in his dark room. Another hint tile check, and some bombs in the Kakariko L.
game that is incredibly useful.
That was the best information I've seen all day.
Thank you, Randomizer. We have a Stalfos and a couple berries. Not the hardest enemy room in the world, so onward we go.
As we have some vultures and all kinds of fun in the next room. Oh look! More thieves! It's one of the nice things with the Randomizer, the thieves are now killable. You can get rid of those pesky guys.
And we get the first 2 small keys of the dungeon, so now you have to trek all the way back, either by walking or by death warping, as we are seeing, and now we have access to the front door.
I still love that dark room in Eastern, the Stelphos Night.
The unseen Stalfos Knight is the deadliest.
Indeed, sir. And look, rollers! Yeah, Solski has a Lydle blocking the door, as they are wont to do.
Manages to take him down, which is a good feat in and of itself.
Granted, we did get a very early access to the bacon sword.
You are correct there. Oh, this is the strike on all those ropes, but that's just for style, nothing else.
And there we have Solski seeing his vanilla fight, which will go a lot faster than JTB's, as Solski has the bow.
Yeah, I can take them all out with just spamming those arrows there. Down goes the Arbos Knights. That brings them into a tie. 4 crystals to 4 crystals.
And it was a very, very clean quick kill. As JTB heads back further into the Palace of Darkness, we still have not seen any progression as of yet, and we'll continue on into the back. 6
Don't
more
have
locations.
the lamp yet, so we're gonna have to dark room the room back here across the collapsing hallway. Oh, we've got a big spike trap in our way here. That is rude, game.
It just gets ruder with a small one beyond that.
Game, really, game. Fine, be that way.
He's still looking to see if he's got any safety. Turns out he just has some bees. And we finally have our first Death Mountain visit from Solski.
Finally get to see what's in this area. We'll have to see if any of the progression's on here. We find the magic powder. That may or may not be progression, depending on what's behind that. It could just be a giant red herring.
Well, as of yet, we don't have true access to it, as we don't
There's
have
the
either
hammer.
or... Oh, I spoke too soon. We found the hammer. And there it is. The ultimate hint in the entire game. Some cash is in Ganon's tower.
Well, they needed something to build that tower with. How's he else going to pay all the construction people? The towers aren't cheap.
Slave labor? He is an evil king, after all.
Yeah, that's true.
And now we have JTB attempting the Dark Maze on 1/2 heart. And being rewarded.
Now the question is, does he go back into that back half there, or does he decide to just cut his losses and go somewhere else? But without finding that whatever's in here in Palace of Darkness, he decides to stick it out rather than risk there being something useful in what this appears to him to be this bottleneck.
Yeah, this looks like our chance for our first major lead change, as Solski will be entering Palace of Darkness with the hammer and will be able to full clear the boss. This, of course, all being sequence broken. It looks like JTB has decided to pass on going back to the Dark Maze. Is going to head to toward the boss room.
It still has not found the hammer yet, so he won't be able to get terribly far in there, because I believe that is required, if I'm not mistaken.
Absolutely, I believe there are mole pegs as soon as you get down the stairs. And Solski showing off that swag button press with the hammer dash. And JTB is disappointed now.
So from here, he's probably going to have to make that Death Mountain trip there to get his hammer, and make a return trip to Palace of Darkness, whereas Solski can just clear it out entirely right here.
Absolutely. Now, where out there do you think this lamp has been hiding? Granted, our runners don't need it, but the logic sure does.
The logic does require there, and we do have the food, so we could get onto top of the Death Mountain without it. So it's in a number of places at the moment there. As if I had to guess, I'm leaning a little bit. No, okay, it might actually be an ice palace.
That's what I was thinking too. We have the hammer, we have the fire rod. But yeah, the chat is pointing out the biggest thing that is also holding back JTB, that he chose not to go back to where the Cane of Samaria was hiding in the top floor of Thieves Town. As it looks like they're going to take the purple chest.
He will definitely need it later, but he does not have access to any of the dungeons that really require the Cane of Samaria at the present moment.
One can only hope that they remember. As we get $50 in Gary's lunchbox. Interesting flute to 8 from JTB. Looks like we're gonna make the Ice Palace dip.
That's gonna require the hammer as well. It's one of those other dungeons that you forget requires the hammer until you get to that one section with the liftable rocks and the mole pegs.
Well, it only puts some cash in the map, is Firelock, so we know we do not need to go to the left side of Misery Mire if we have to go there at all. That's finally a good hint from this game. Now, that is true that there are some locations that are hammer locked. It only removes 3 item locations with that. It's the 2 chests on that right-hand side and the boss itself. So there's still a lot to be found here in Skullwoods, as that is a room. Lots of fun with ice physics.
Indeed, there. And Solski's discovered the trap room of death with the giant spikes and the little spikes.
Oh, tries to use the bomb for a damage boost and gets thrown for a loop.
There's not much room on that bridge to get damage boosted through.
Thinker's goal is to get in the front. There we go. Get ahead of the bomb and take the damage boost through just to have to do it again.
I was at 1 heart and having to be able to complete this, but uses a potion that he had received to get back up to full health.
He purchased that, and we have, look at that, another Cash and Ganon's Tower hint.
There are 3 hint tiles here so far. One of them has been useful, one of them's been a duplicate. We'll have to see what the third one is.
Alright, and here's Solski's attempt. Nope, we're gonna go through the nice, easy cash room. I wonder if he's going to attempt the Randomizer Dark Maze of Death. And JTB choosing not to do the bomb jump because they cannot get to the end of they cannot get to the cold stair location anyway.
You are correct there. Solski is going to be heading into that dark room right now. We'll see what lies within.
Or
not in this case.
Well, we see 2 things. We have a fire bar and a bubble. Who knows what else is hiding out there? And we have some blueberries. JTB finding a small key. And we have some ice vultures. And Solski's... Looks like he grabbed the second item, but I didn't quite see what it was.
I don't see anything terribly new on the item menu, so... Usually if it's something consumable, it just shows up over your head.
And from the big chest we have all that dark mazing for $5. One can only hope that, for JTB's sake, there's some kind of progression for him in here, or there's not a whole lot else. And that's a lot of time lost. And demonstrated one of our hard mode features, the powder no longer turns the anti-fairies into a fairy, but merely a single heart.
It'll be enough to get him across the spikes, though, and only find the map.
So that's, I'm guessing, a death warp from Solski and some disappointment from JTB.
So JTB is still hard stuck behind that hammer location. We'll see if he decides to go to the into Death Mountain at the moment, but he looks like he's going back into the Dark World at the moment.
I wonder if he's thinking back to we can only hope that he's thinking back to the locations that he orphaned in Thieves Town.
He's running out of options where things can be, so that's going to have to be one of those things. You'll be happy to find that can of Samaria there, but without access to any of the dungeons that require it, you'll still be at more or less of a loss of what to do without just checking more locations.
Absolutely, I could say as of right now, it looks like Solski's in a comfortable lead position. As we shake the room, Solski will get down the stairs and be able to progress toward the Kelmasaur King location to see what we can find there to have to fight.
One thing I do enjoy about Randomizer there is that each dungeon has their own color palette there, which also it's like a lighting effect in that it affects all the enemies within it there. So that's what causes all these weird color palette changes for all the enemies.
Absolutely, and it can have some really interesting effects on some of the bosses, most notably Moldorm. We have not seen, to answer some questions in chat about Thieves Town, JTB went into Thieves Town and went straight to the boss after collecting a key and then left the dungeon without going up to these top chests because you can do that in Randomizer. And we have not yet seen the big chest in this dungeon, which we do have the key for, but only Solski has that hammer.
And he gets the cane and drops the light down into the boss room, I guess for just out of force of habit, because you definitely don't need it there. Oh, and Solski finds Argus at the bottom of Palace of Darkness with no hookshot that is not completable.
So that means the the lantern is available before we find our hookshot. Only question is, where is our hookshot hiding? We did not find it in most of Ice Palace, however, there were a few locations left.
Mystery Mire we can't get into because we have no Quake Medallion. Turtle Rock we can't get to because we have no mirror, no hookshot, nothing, and definitely no medallions to get into it even if we could. Swamp House is inaccessible because no mirror. Palace of Darkness we've pretty much cleared out and we can't even get to Tower of Hair without a mirror. So all these mysterious items that are locked behind each other have to be somewhere in the overworld.
True that. Well, not a whole lot left. To answer some, there is no Spike Cave as we have not yet found a item that grants invincibility. Now, in hard mode, the Cane of Burnout does not grant invincibility. Though I do believe that the Spike Cave is an exception to that rule. There is one that looks...
Checking out hammer pegs.
Yep, and we have JTB heading to somewhere we have not yet checked yet, the Lumberjack Ledge. Now, finally, Aga 1 is dead. Unless we really, really want that bug net.
Meanwhile, Solski finds the hookshot inside of the hammer pegs cave.
And there we go. Another huge item lead picked up by Solski by making the right calls, as JTB is going to sequence break the old man.
It's sort of a gamble to see what he has in there, but as far as you know, it could pay off there. Meanwhile, with that hookshot there, I imagine Solski's going to go right to the eastern side of Death Mountain, and the Dark Death Mountain as well.
It's going to clean up some of the overworld checks on the way. This will, however, hopefully point JTB towards his hammer. But as we know, it didn't get us a whole lot of anything else. The main thing is that hook shot.
JTB is disappointed by just having 5 rupees inside the old man's wallet, but he'll be picking up that hammer fairly shortly.
That'll be good for JTB, but still lacking that hook shot. The major progression is still not to be found. And it looks like we have our magic bat check from Solski. And what will the Mad Batter curse us with today? He casts the mighty curse of a heart. Not gonna complain, it is hard mode.
This is true there. Looks like JTB is going to be getting that hammer fairly shortly right now. It's in the right area to do so.
I just hope for JTB's sake this doesn't make him go straight back into Palace of Darkness to find the Argus that he can't kill.
That would be a massive punch to the face if he were to do that.
Alright, chat, let's try to will JTB toward the right location, or see what happens. Meanwhile, Solski is going to take his hook shot and check out the east side of Death Mountain, which opens up a lot of chests. I'm going to guess. Yep, it looks like we are going to find, if I had to guess, the lamp is going to be around there somewhere.
The lamp would put a lot of other things back in logic as well.
Definitely our kill of our friend Argus in the Helmosaur spot.
Alright, so we've got Solski inside a Paradox Cave at the moment. The first part here, we are going to have a lot of rupees, which you're not going to need, and a piece of heart. We'll see if the other section is more generous than that.
And thankfully, JTB is heading toward the hammer pegs, which I didn't notice before. Kind of rude. And there's the hook shot. That'll feel good when they do get to the Palace of Darkness. And we have the other side of Paradox Cave to reveal just junk, 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 and junk.
Unfortunate there, but it's definitely a lot of locations off your mind.
Well, there's still a lot more to check on the east side of Death Mountain, as we have the hookshot to do Hookshot Cave and Spike Cave, and we can finally see our medallion requirement for Turtle Rock, even though we still, as of yet, to find any of those golden coins.
Perhaps Wario has stolen all those 3 golden coins.
Would be pretty... Alright, so let's take an inventory of what we're still looking for to get us officially to-go mode to get to Ganon. Definitely the mirror to get so we can do Swamp Palace. A medallion. And I don't think there's anything else we truly need, unless, of course, we find our friend Trinax.
That is correct there. And we find out that Turtle Rock is going to require Quake. So we've got double Quake entrance openers.
Alright, the mighty, mighty bacon coin will save us all. As we get to see Hookshot Cave with Belphos Knight. 300 rupees. The shovel. And 300 rupees.
So we pick up a fetch quest item there. That will be something else off the unique item list.
Solski heads back down the mountain. JTB heading back up to where we've run through, as we see each runner taking up... Hey! There is our bacon coin! In the Super Bunny Cave.
That opens up 2 dungeons, which can, I believe, can be full cleared immediately, depending on what bosses lie at the back of them.
Absolutely, it looks like Solski is going to head straight over and head into Turtle Rock. Or find out what the medallion requirement is, save and quit, and get back there, I guess.
No, No mirror means he has to take the long way to there, and has not picked up the old man's cave, so he can't just start straight there. But with the fluid, it shouldn't be that much of a trek.
And JTB using the book on the ether tablet to find 10 sticks. And it looks like JTB is going to head into the Tower of Hera, which is, interestingly enough, the green pendant.
I've seen it far too often where something critical is hidden in Sasha's pockets.
Absolutely, and it looks like with that key, there's a great potential for us having to go and take a coffee break. Find out.
It's one of those things that a unique item is hidden underwater. Well, we've already found that.
Yeah, that was the boots. Which there's a guaranteed hint for every time. And it looks like JTB is checking those two chests and decided that the green pendant Tower of Hera is not for them.
Pretty much. It's a bit of a big trek up there, and might not be even able to complete it, depending on what boss is at the top. Although the list of incompletable bosses is growing shorter by the moment.
Absolutely, and we have Solski going to head into the Turtle Rock.
Now, interestingly enough there, JTB, depending on what he finds there, might be back in the lead because Solski did that big second dip into Palace of Darkness only to find that he couldn't complete it. JTB doesn't know that he can't complete Palace of Darkness yet, but hasn't really had the inclination to go back there just yet, although he can now full clear it with both the hammer and the hookshot in tow.
Basically, that play at no end play in pod basically brought this to a tie, with the only difference being that when Solski heads back into Palace of Darkness, they just have to run straight to the boss room.
Pretty much.
And we'll have Solski checking out there for our first side of Turtle Rock.
And JTB is going to be picking up his Quake Medallion here, so we'll see if that sends him straight to Misery Mire or straight to Turtle Rock, or decides to go somewhere else.
I would think that it would be a pretty high chance to head straight for Turtle Rock. And without those rollers, thanks to the Randomizer, this room is a lot less of a pain.
I would definitely agree with you there. The Randomizer giveth and the Randomizer taketh away.
Hasn't been the most. It's been pretty kind this time. I take that back. It's not kind at all. That is a chain chomp.
Hey, I got out of my room. Can I play with you now?
As Solski uses the hookshot to try to avoid our friend the chain chomp and not be successful. Oh, I feel bad. I feel like I brought that into existence.
It's all your fault. No, it's not.
Alright, and JTB deciding against the Turtle Rock play. I guess not without going to buy some potions first. Little does he know, it'll be a good investment after having to deal with that chain chomp, which Solski managed to evade. And it replaces the chain chomp room with a bat, Single Shadow.
Makes this room a lot more bearable.
After making the entrance, not so much.
JTB appears to be going back into Palace of Darkness. Thankfully, he's chosen the right time to do that if he wants to complete it fully there, because now he can. Little does he know, he missed out on a giant potential time waste by finishing it out without the hookshot.
Absolutely, they'll be able to handle the Argus, which is hiding in the Helmasaur King's lair. This room being rather kind this time.
So that's adorable.
Yeah,
the eggplant turns into a peach.
Get the emojis. All the emojis. Another key for Solski as we head on further into Turtle Rock.
Through the gigantic Mario reference dungeon.
I always was really confused by this as a kid with the random pipes that you never see anywhere else. Stalfos in a shadow as JTB gets bullied around by that red guard.
Manages to take him down without too much incident.
And JTB muscle memorying a shot at the statue. And there's Solski hovering across the pit.
Yes, we know you're showing off. Good job.
There was a daily seed where I watched him attempt to hover his way to Trinex. He came up about a tile and a half short.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Good job attempting that, though.
And
there's
there
the
is
mirror.
The mirror.
So, when you take a 50-50 bet on going to either Mire or Turtle Rock there, Turtle Rock is the place to go.
I think it's a gamble most people will take is that one's the dungeon, that one's the crystal, and the other one's the pendant. Now, as we navigate our way here through the dark maze, we have no idea what shadows are flying by us as we try to get through this room. As we have a pretty quick and easy Argus fight here from JTB on the right.
This arena doesn't pose much problems at all there. There's just those spikes at the top, and that's pretty much it. Don't really have to interact with those spikes at all.
Oh, and Solski taking a death inside the dark hole maze. And a piece of heart on Palace Darkness, and the 5th crystal for JTB.
That puts him in the leads in terms of crystals. They're up now 5-4, but Solski's got most of Turtle Rock done, and a quick jaunt over to back to Palace of Darkness to finish that out relatively quickly.
All right, and here comes Solski's second attempt to do the dark maze in Turtle Rock with whatever has been assailing him. We don't know. Too dark to know. I find it amusing that with that shield, the eggplant kind of looks like a chicken in the shadow form.
Pretty much, yes.
At least one vanilla fire bar. And looks like we have JTB heading up toward Turtle Rock. And Solski makes it through the maze this time, only taking what appeared to be 2, maybe 3 hits. As the ball and chain guard blocks the bridge. Here's our laser bridge check.
Gonna be taking that safety exit there.
Cannot blame them for a moment. Interesting to think that unless we missed an invincibility item somewhere on here, this laser bridge is technically out of logic.
It's one of those logical requirements you don't really think of all that much, but it is a requirement nonetheless.
And so far we've got a bloopy. Obviously, the runners of this caliber have no problem with laser skips. For the most part. This is one of the more annoying tricks to attempt. And not a whole lot of reward for it, but we're going to head back toward the Trinex spot on what appears to be a single heart to see what we will find. Going to go back and take that heart. Do not blame them for a moment.
Pretty much there. Oh, we've got a big spike in the middle of the maze. Not that hard to dodge, but it is big, it is ugly, and it is there.
And we got some Wall Masters chasing us, and the Stalfos Knight, and we're out.
Alright, so we are going to see what boss is at the back of Turtle Rock right now, and can it be completed on 3 hearts? It's the Stalfos Knights, they're chumps. Let's go.
Alright, another easy, quick kill of the Armos Knights for Solski, as JTP is nearing their mirror location, so it looks like we will be seeing Swamp Palace next. If I had to wager a guess.
That is one of the between Swamp Palace and that's the only other crystal left at the moment. So yeah, we haven't not seen Trinex yet, unless it shows up in Ganon's Tower or in Swamp Palace. As of right now, unless something strange happens, all of the pendant dungeons are not required.
Absolutely, and we are potentially in go mode. We don't know yet, as we do not know what boss is laying in the Swamp Palace. Now, if that's Trinex, we're looking for the Ice Rod. It's potential. We've been in go mode for a while, but they won't be going it.
It's possible that Trinex might show up in Ganon's Tower just to make things even uglier.
One can only hope for or against that, depending on how bad you want to be to our runners. Speaking of our runners, as we start to head toward the Swamp Palace and we go through Turtle Rock, please don't be afraid to give our runners a follow. They're putting themselves out there and for a larger audience than they used to. And they're doing this all for you guys, so please show them a lot of love and support.
Now, keep in mind there that Solski has not yet completed the Palace of Darkness, so he still has that boss cleared to take care of before he finishes, can go to Ganon's Tower.
Absolutely, but I do think that going through the Swamp Palace is definitely a good play before you head back to go back to where that boss is located. As we take another hint tile check to find something sharp is in Turtle Rock. So somewhere along that line, one of those big 20s in Turtle Rock was the 4th sword location. As this is hard mode, it was just a big 20.
You are right, and I'm honestly a little bit intrigued by this sort of situation that we find are in there. We don't know if we're in go mode or not, depending on what bosses are there. We find a King of Burna, interesting, but not what we really want at the present moment there. So this is almost like Schrodinger's go mode.
Absolutely, we are both in and not in go mode at the same time. Also, if you're out there, we found your cane. Brian, your cane has been found. And to just answer the questions in chat of our sprite checks, Solski is using the new eggplant, and JTB is using the new Shantae.
I think we got a quick glimpse of Shantae's bunny sprite there. It appears to be Risky Boots.
Right on, and I see what looks like from a couple people in chat, the worst possible situation I've seen here, which is a Trinex at the top of Ganon's Tower with the Ice Rod being on the pedestal. You, sir, are evil.
Nah, that's not the worst. You can have the mushroom on the pedestal and the witch having the Ice Rod.
There you go. You're just making it worse. Oh, that's right. There's a thought. Ice Rod and Mimic from our tracker. Oh, chat is just evil.
We've got at least one guard in here in the dark section. We can't really see what's going on. But we are. Ooh.
Solski has found the silver arrows inside Swamp Palace. That'll definitely be nice for Ganon. However, as this is hard mode, those silver arrows do not function until they get to Ganon's room, as JTB takes a death in the Dark Maze to whatever killed them. We're not really sure.
The darkness killed him. Break out the magic missiles.
To answer Dark Shadow's question, I'm not sure if the lamp could be in Mimic Cave. It would be an interesting thought.
We've checked a lot of places there. Theoretically, we should have been able to complete. What have we done that is technically locked behind?
As we have
at the moment,
our third instance of the Armos Knights at the Argus location, as we find the big key there, and that is the crystal. So that's 6 crystals for Solski, and 5 for our friend JTB. Solski should be heading toward Palace Darkness to pick up their 7th crystal and hope for no Trinexes anywhere.
JTB is having trouble with that dark room. Unfortunately, the maze is just fine for him there, but it's whatever's lurking in that darkness that's giving him a lot of trouble.
Now the masochist in me says, "I bet you there's murder dactyls flying around in there." And there's Solski heading into the dark world to head toward the Palace of Darkness and pick up their final crystal.
There's at least a skull, one of those floating skulls in there. We could see that from the silhouette, but can't really see anything else right now.
Absolutely.
JTB only has a few tries left before he runs out of magic and can't get over that bridge anymore.
Absolutely. And we have JTB going for another attempt. Now I noticed that they don't have enough magic to cast another Samaria block. There is a refill room in here, though, if they can find it without being murdered.
And he makes it through.
Absolutely.
He is definitely going to take that safety exit at this point, given how much trouble it's given him so far. But Solski is burning his way through the remainder of Palace of Darkness at the moment, and will most likely, at this rate, be the first person into Ganon's Tower.
Absolutely. We just got to get ourselves to that Argus and take him down. Now, there's a couple of people in chat saying they think they saw a chain chomp in that dark maze, which would definitely speak as to why it was so difficult.
Those boys do bite. They bite hard. They are not fun.
No, they are not. As Solski is going to be heading back toward their second visit to their friend Argus. As we have Solski taking out that nice Argus kill.
Did you like them the first time? But if so, the Argus Knights are back for round 2, just as chumpier as ever. Ha! We've got them this time. We can put some spikes in the corners, where we almost never go.
And Solski with that excellent quick kill on Argus, and it looks like we should be heading to Ganon's Tower. So, Phantom, do you know what that means?
That means it is time for the Ganon's Tower guessing game. Where is that big key? There are 21 locations inside of Ganon's Tower. The big key can be in any of them, aside from its own chest.
I think that
Make
could be
your
cool.
guess.
Oh, I see where you're going there. You pulled a fake out on me.
Yeah, 21's a nicer number anyway. So, out of all the locations there, which one is your favorite for where you'd like to guess the big key to be?
I typically lean towards 17. Just that number speaks to me for some reason. What about you?
I'm a big fan of 14 myself there, which ends up, if you just use the standard route, ends up being, I think, Bob's chest.
Right on. As far as my favorite location to find it in, probably has to be Tile Room.
Ooh, Tile Room is always one you don't want it to be in, but it's because it's just right there. You just don't want to take the time to do it there. However, what I say is I'm not sure. I mean, I'm kind of leaning a little bit towards Rounder Room, just deep in there, but not so terribly deep. I have to do both sides.
And one last thing we should describe about our Big Key guessing game is there are no prizes. There is a leaderboard. However, to gain access to this leaderboard, you have to have donated at least 250 bits to any of the 6 Speed Gaming channels, or subscribe to any of those 6 Speed Gaming channels, as Solski shows off some hammer dashes along the way to Ganon's Tower.
I'll show that Ganon I'll deface his property.
Alright, and guesses will be closing as soon as he gets in. We will be going by their route, by Solski's routing, even if JTB takes a different route when they arrive at Ganon's Tower.
Ooh, he's going for right side, or no, you always start with the first 2 chests on the right side for standard quote-unquote routing here. We'll see if he decides to complete the whole right side before going over to the left. But the first 2 chests have nothing else, mirroring back to the start. Gonna be heading over back to that left side and the greater quantity of chests which lie within.
Alright, so we have small key and some sticks. And looks like, no, he decides to take the piece of heart. Rest in peace, Bob. Though, we do know he did escape. I mean, there's no guarantee we got to see him either, as a Randomizer. And there's a nice, rude, big spike. As JTB is making their way back, they're about. I hope they did. They go back for the silver arrows? I didn't see that.
I wasn't looking there. I would imagine that he would, given that he's hoping to find that ice rod, but I could be wrong.
Oh, we still don't know if that ice rod's required. As we get through those next series of checks, this would be number 8 if my math is correct. Maybe.
I think it's 7?
Yeah, 7.
I could be wrong.
Like I said earlier, I'm not the math guy.
Yeah, fair enough here. Inside the penguin chest here, that's number 8, so we just get more money. Meanwhile, JTB is taking on the return of the Armos Knights. It should be finishing up fairly quickly.
It's a fun room. It looks like JTB's low on arrows and choosing to go for the sword strats. That's a lot of guards in that room. Number 9. As we head toward Rando Room.
And JTB finishes off the Armor Knights with 1 arrow remaining.
$10, $11, and there it is on number 12.
Well, it is.
And I'd like to give a big and awesome congratulations to Magius1 with the answer of 12.
Alright, so we are going to be heading up the gauntlet right now. We will see what 3 bosses are along the... Actually, 2 bosses are along the way. We did not need to go towards where the ice armors normally lie, so whatever's in there will lie a mystery, unless someone decides to go to there.
Alright, JTB picking up one of those upgrades. Curious to see, though, we still have 2 bosses that we can check. Will we find a Trinex? That is the operative question. And this room sounds fun.
There's a spike in there somewhere. We've got some mini troll dorms in here, so to speak.
And a hard hat beetle chases us down. 2 hearts left as we go further up into the gauntlet.
Now the fairies in here are actually fairies. They will heal you for a little bit less, but they will still do quite a good amount of healing. So that puts them back at full health. Alright, first gauntlet enemy room, not so bad. Second gauntlet enemy room, pretty easy as well.
Just annoying more than anything else.
Alright, and JTB is hot on Solski's heels. Just needs to go straight to Random Room if he decides to take the standard route and be right on there. Otherwise, Solski has pretty much a straight shot right ahead of him. And our first boss is Argus there. So no Trinex here. If Trinex is in the seed, he is either in Moldorm 2's room or the Ice Armor's room, or possibly not at all, or even at one of the pendants rooms.
And one of the fun parts of that room is it's not programmed to face a boss with phases. So once you clear out the R-guys, we can just leave.
Interesting way it handles the death flags.
No, it's not a room designed to just face a boss with phases.
So I guess taking down one phase counts as killing the boss, and the door just opens.
Similar to the potion glitch, it's seen all the deaths it's expecting. No longer sees the enemies it's looking for.
I guess mechanically how it would work there is that both phases of the boss are technically considered separate enemies. And that's why there's a moment in time where Argus 1 is down, but Argus 2 hasn't spawned in yet.
Yep. Alright, as we carry on further up into the tower, nothing too crazy up here yet, as JTB has made their way in. Looks like similar routing to what Solski took. And Solski still checking through chests just in case there's that ice rod. And we have... Is that... Oh, it's a vanilla Moldorm 2. Though somebody took his eyeball.
Yeah, apparently a Moldorms in Randomizer can have anywhere between 1 and 8 eyeballs.
Solski just thought about hovering and changed their mind. So unfortunately, our dreams of those Trinex are...
We have no massive troll today. It's just a straight shot. Solski is now officially in Go mode, no longer in Schrodinger's Go mode.
As we finally reach that at about an hour and 32 minutes into the seed. And here we are into Ega 2. Time for some geometry, folks. Really nice triple from Solski there.
That looked like a triple. I don't think it was a double. It should... Oh, that was a good shot as well. Good job, Solski.
Oh, kind of trolled by the physics there.
Swing and a miss.
And we're down, and we are headed toward Ganon.
JTB is working on his tower ascent, but unless something wacky happens, this is Solski's game to lose. I'm sorry, I always think those glitch sprites are amusing whenever Ganon flies into the tower.
Mm-hmm.
Or Pyramid.
Alright, and we have the start of the Ganon fight. Should be pretty easy. Tempered Sword and Silvers. Interesting left to remember, JTB did not check the flooded chest in Swamp. It does not have Silvers.
Interesting indeed there. Ganon sort of does have Alpha the cheese fact. A fitting there considering we're going to turn him into Swiss cheese. Alright, takes 2 cycles to take care of phase 2 for Solski. Should still not give him much of a problem. He still has plenty of life left. He's got plenty of magic left. Should not be able to have run into any problems while taking down Ganon.
Absolutely, as we're heading to the third phase. One more set of slashes, and Ganon's about to ask us where we found the silver arrows in Swamp Palace. Well, Solski did. JTB did not. There's one arrow shot. Does not look like they got the torch glitch. Oh, almost a triple. And Solski puts the arrow in, and we have our fanfare, and we continue in.
All hail the Eggplant Man! And that was time.
Excellently done by Solski.
JTB does not realize that the door is opened and kills Argus anyway.
Absolutely. Well, with that, we have Solski finished with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 35 minutes, and 23 seconds. GG to Solski. And as we have our the final part of JTB's ascent, they took care of the the Landmo 2 spot of Argus, and from what I'm actually finding out, it looks like it may not be possible for Trinex to be in that spot of GT.
Interesting. Would there not be enough room for you to fight him in there?
Potentially, I think, or it may just be the way it jumps around the room.
Well, JTB isn't terribly far behind Solski. He only's got the last part of the tower to do, take care of Moldor 2, and he'll be right there and again and fight soon enough.
Alright, absolutely. Yeah, we're gonna get a little bit through in chat, and looks like we are now joined by our victorious runner Solski. GG to you, sir. JTB has told us that they will not be here for the interview, so you want to help us get us through the last part of JTB's fight?
Sure.
Alright, so while we go through up there, what do you think? What did you think of the seat overall? As we see our second visit of our Moldorm Cyclops. And the cape in the validation chest.
Yes, Ganon Towers ends up being the lost and found of weird items here. Now, interestingly enough, that we checked a lot of places, but we still did not find the lamp, which was logically required there. It must be hiding out in some hidey hole that we have not visited yet.
Maybe it was up further in Tower of Hera, which Solski didn't check, and JTB took the front side of. And we have JTB going into their Aga fight, getting, looked like, wasn't sure how many hits they got on that first phase, maybe 2 there, so Aga should go down here. Or just missing that last shot. Ooh, having a little trouble in here as they've gotten a little desynced. And there's our last hit, and we're heading to the big pig himself. Now, one thing to remember is that JTB did not find the silver arrows in the Swamp Palace, so they will be doing a swordless Ganon. As you get that nice pose from the Shantae sprite. And we're seeing on the left the nightmares that have been induced by the Randomizer in the credit scene. Not in this screen, actually. And it looks like JTB is going to go for some safety.
Yeah, he is at only 2 hearts there. Does not have. I don't believe he still has his potions.
Silverless Ganon, excuse me. I misspoke earlier. That's a lot of cheese.
Cheese Facts brought to you by Ganon.
Delicious. And having little to no problems in this second phase again with the fire bats. Doesn't quite catch that hit there, but they're doing just fine. As we teleport and teleport and teleport. Finally get our next hit in.
And on the pedestal was the unknown hat. I'm not familiar with what that refers to.
I believe that's a male upgrade.
Now, this being hard mode, we only had one male upgrade anyway. But
Well, there are two spawns out there as JTB gets the torch glitch, which is very good considering they're doing the silverless Ganon.
indeed, you don't have to waste double magic lighting both torches.
So far, a very clean silverless Ganon. Another spin, another torchlight. Ooh, a little early on that spin.
Lost count of how many times he's hit him there. He's starting to run a little bit low on magic, but should be able to finish this out just fine.
I think so at the caliber that caliber runner the JTB is. Couldn't be more than one or two more. Ooh, misses that shot. Now we start to worry about that magic. And there's our final blow.
Well, that's a relief off of his mind.
Absolutely. Now all we gotta do is cross the bridge. And there we go. And that is JTB finishing with an official SRL time that I lost in chat. That is a 1 hour, 41 minute, and 41 seconds GG to JTB. So, Solski, you've been here with us. What did you think of that seed overall?
It's pretty good. Quick seed, really. Low requirements.
Yeah, absolutely a quick seed. Sorry.
No, it's okay. Just it basically became a decision of how long do I spend looking for an ice rod that may or may not be required, and I was more worried about Lamo 2 than anything. And yeah, it just never materialized. So I was like, sweet, just go up and I guess finish the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Chat was kind of all of us in chat were waiting to see will we need that ice rod? Will we have that false go mode? We sat in what Phantom coined as Schrodinger's go mode as we go through that entire seed, thinking, is there a Trinex? Is there not a Trinex? We don't know.
I mean, there could have been one in other dungeons, but I didn't really dip Hera, Ice, or Myers, so or the basement of GT. So there could have been one again, but wasn't required.
Yeah, pretty much the pendant dungeons weren't completely unrequired, and 2 of the 3 completely unchecked. Now, the main thing that caused the gap, the disparity between the 2 of you was the find of the hammer on Spectacle Rock. GTB did a lot more checking of other things before they actually got to Spectacle Rock and find that hammer. Were you glad when you found that there?
I mean, it was pretty close to, in logic, my last thing I can do. I think the only other thing at the time was Ice Palace for like a half dip, so wasn't really surprised to find it there. I was thinking maybe Hookshot or Mirror, but then Hammer kind of led me right back to Pod as a route idea, and then I guess what was it?
Yeah, absolutely. That was
Hookshot.
Yeah.
In Hammer Pegs, that was great after I saw Argus in Pod.
Yeah, that was definitely that moment. How did you feel when you saw that Argus in Pod?
I mean, what would you expect, right? Like, just like, oh, I guess I can't do him. And then all of a sudden, Hookshot kind of started laughing a little bit. LOL and IRC, that's what it was for. So,
I need to see that go.
Yeah.
Oh, there was definitely that the Ice Palace play, which JTB also did set him behind. Phantom, do you have any questions for our successful runner?
You've handled most of it so far. I'm just looking through all the spots that we could possibly think. We never did see the lamp though, and so that made the dark rooms a bit tough, especially that dark room in the bottom of Turtle Rock. And we never got to see what was just slaughtering everybody.
Do you have any idea, Solski, what was in there?
I think it was a chain chomp, but for me, like, I only died once, but that was because I lost my reference point. Like, I missed the timing. in the dark room, so I was kind of just blindly going everywhere. Because usually with the fire bars, you kind of know where you're at, and without them there is like good luck. So
I
just took the L there, and then figured it out the second time. But yeah, I think it was chain chomp.
Yeah, that definitely was one of the editors were thinking, like, what could be absolutely massacring those poor guys in there.
Yeah.
All right.
Wondering where the lantern could be, because I mean, in logic, until we got that flute, it wasn't. It was required to get to a lot of places. So I'm trying to think of where it could possibly be, because we've checked a lot of the locations so far.
My guess is
no particular order: purple chest, Mire beside Vidi, ice, Hera green pendant, ether tablet, Bombos tablet.
Oh, the ether we checked and it was nothing. I'm going with Hera or the item connected to Hera. So now, Solski, tell me, how are you doing so far in the group stages?
I'm doing okay. 2-2 now with this one, so it's kind of get me back to where I need to be for the groups. Really, really tough group I'm in. Pretty much anyone in this group can take wins off each other. So, and we're seeing that right now. Like, there's no clear-cut winner already. We got a lot of guys with like 2 wins, 2 losses, or similar. So it's just going to be a grind, and we're just going to have to get through it race by race. So, yeah, it's just been really challenging so far, and it's been quite a bit of fun. So.
Yeah, I believe that puts you tied for second place with 2-2, with there being a 2-way tie in first between Ak and Lara at the moment. So that I guess it's either second or fourth, depending on how you look at it.
Please, I'm gonna win all 3 games against Ak, anyways.
There you go. That's the confidence I like to hear. So why did you choose this seed in particular?
Big fan of Randomizer. I'm very, very strong in it. I figured I'd just kind of change my mindset a little bit, have some more fun with it, rather than just making it as hard as possible. Which is fun, but I'm not sure if it's fun for tournament play. So, as you guys probably saw from my first race, if anyone watched it. So, but yeah, it was definitely a breath of fresh air. Kind of wish it was a little harder, just because we had like tempered and blue mail by like 10 minutes in, so it took away a little bit of the challenge. But other than that, no, it was pretty refreshing, especially for a tournament race format.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, I think that players show off better when they're in their comfort zone, or at least their preferred city. So that's always good to see.
And having a little bit of fun doing things that you may not need to do seems to be kind of a calling card for you, Solski. As I watched you shovel dash your way to Ganon's tower.
That's why they call me Swagski.
Come on, you gotta deface his lawn, show him who's boss.
All right, so is there anything so what do you think is coming up ahead for you, Solski?
I got a match with JTB actually on Sunday. Let me just take a look real quick here and see what it is. Because I completely forgot what this race was, and I forgot what Sunday's was too, so... Oh yeah, it's gonna be standard Uncle Assured hard all dungeons, so gonna be more of the hard stuff. I think most of my races have all been hard mode too, which I appreciate too. Again, just adds that extra element of challenge. So.
All right, I know. So before we let you go, is there anything that you don't like seeing in the tournament race?
No boots. I mean, that's the obvious one for me. Like 90% of the runners, we all want to go fast, and you think it's a crutch when you don't hit early boots, just because that becomes like a luck-based game. Right? It's just like, all right, who hits the locations first? Whereas execution's not that major factor. Kind of getting back into it. So again, just early boots always is really nice.
Well, this was definitely a seed for that, as we saw the 6-minute timer of the boots go by on JTB's stream. Is there any final thoughts you have, Solski, heading into the next races for the tournament?
Not really.
Any last trash you want to talk while you've got the air?
I mean, I talk trash Ak on the daily, so it's not like I need it as a platform. But again, just really strong group. everyone can take games off each other, and it's gonna be a lot of fun.
All right. Well, we definitely thank you for putting on this nice show for us. Any final thoughts, Phantom?
I believe that's will all be it for today there. If you are looking for more rando action there, we currently have, I believe, on Speed Gaming 3, we have Fear Agent versus 1UP40, and at 11:30, which should be starting in about 10 minutes, on Speed Gaming 2, we've got Jet 082 versus Brewers fan JP.
All right. Both of those are going to be awesome matches. And as we wrap up, we'd like to thank you all and remind you, anyone that's still listening, to follow runners. A huge thank to my last-minute partner, Phantom Fox, and our tracker, Cube. And from myself, Bungie the Tree, and Phantom Fire, why don't you go ahead and send us off?
All right. Thank you to our runners. Thank you to all of our behind-the-scenes supporters. Thank you again to my co-commentators. And there's more random action coming your way on those channels that I mentioned. So have a wonderful night and catch us if you can.
Thank you. Good night.